Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a hard look at Lady Ballers, the first scripted comedy feature from conservative media company, The Daily Wire. If your first question is, why? You're not alone. Briefly, the story follows a desperate former coach, played by writer and director Jeremy Boring, who comes up with a scheme to achieve success by having his failed male basketball team compete in women's sports by disguising themselves as women. And before we go any further, let me get this out of the way. The very idea of The Daily Wire attempting to make a comedy film is laughable on its face. These are simply not people who understand humor or, really, anything about the entertainment industry. From the very first minute, Lady Ballers represents a massive misfire and failure to grasp the modern comedy landscape. Let's get into it. Section 1. Acting and Runtime. The acting in this movie is amateurish beyond belief. Take this line delivery from writer, director/star Jeremy Boring as just one of many examples. The Global Games? When I was a kid, you had to be an elite athlete just to try out for the games. Boring's performance plumbs to depths of ineptitude I didn't think was possible for someone paid to act and direct. But he's hardly alone. Seemingly every role is filled by Boring's conservative pundit pals from The Daily Wire's dumb sports talk shows, people with zero acting experience or talent whatsoever. Yet despite having literally zero professionals involved, Lady Ballers clocks in at a laughable 1 hour and 50 minutes. Most comedies struggle to justify even 90 minutes. But this team of conservative hacks somehow padded their incoherent script to oblivion with pointless improv riffs centered around jokes about masculinity and misogyny that felt ripped straight from a 1970s sitcom. Oh, and there's also totally obvious racist jokes and unnecessary violent scenes towards women sprinkled in too because, of course there are. Section 2. Blatant cash grab. But perhaps the most grating part of Lady Ballers is just how blatantly it exists as a lazy cash grab. No, scratch that. Calling it a cash grab implies some level of effort was made. This is just blatant advertising for The Daily Wire thinly veiled as a movie. There's literally a scene where characters stop to do a fake advertising break, hawking Jeremy Boring's no-name razors and supplements to the camera. They don't even try to justify it as part of the plot. What is happening? Like, do the folks at The Daily Wire think their audience is made up of drooling morons desperate to buy any old crappy product shilled to them? Wait, maybe don't answer that. If you somehow went into Lady Ballers unaware of The Daily Wire's whole anti-woke deal, you'd think you accidentally put on a 2-hour infomercial, not a comedy. It's just shameless. He pulls up the stats about the new subscriber conversions, which I guess is the entire point, since this thing reportedly had The Daily Wire's highest new subscriber conversion on launch day. Not that they've released any actual numbers, but converting even like 50 new people to their far-right grift is probably considered a win over there. Okay. On to the next. Section 3. Recycled, transphobic premise. So with all those issues, you'd think the one redeeming aspect would be, an actual coherent comedic premise amusing enough to hang a movie on, right? Nope, afraid not. Because Lady Ballers commits a near unforgivable sin, it rips off the plots of several gender-swap sports comedies with a tired, recycled premise. So what's the plot, if it could be called that? Like I said, it's about a washed-up guys basketball team that decides to pretend to be transgender women so they can unfairly dominate female athletes and, I don't know, get back in the game or something. That's the entire paper-thin excuse to make tons of dudes in dresses jokes. It's essentially just a transphobic version of Joanna Man from 2002, except somehow even less self-aware and intelligent. And that's really saying something, because Joanna Man is not good. Except where that movie technically had an uplifting message about overcoming toxic masculinity, Lady Ballers just constantly, blatantly beats you over the head with the most archaic anti-trans rhetoric. This has an actual line from the movie. How can you be so sure you're not a woman? Well, clearly your genitals say otherwise. You need help. That's an actual line from this comedy. Comedic genius is all of them. On to our last section. The conclusion. Look, I'm sure in the minds of Boring and company, the mere existence of Lady Ballers is some kind of brave, edgy pushback against the tyranny of woke mind viruses or whatever. But in reality, this thing is a lazy, uncreative, unfunny piece of anti-trans bigotry without an ounce of original humor or insight. At the end of the day, Lady Ballers isn't just a bad comedy, it's a desperate, cynical attempt by The Daily Wire to claw relevance by appealing to the worst, most fragile impulses of their dwindling, resentful audience. Devoid of talent, wit, or an ounce of original thought, This transphobic fest is simply evidence of the dying and undignified gasp of the conservative comedy realm. It gets less than 1 star. Avoid at all costs. But hey, at least we now know what happens when you let Ben Shapiro's uneducated high school theater kid fantasies come true, right? And I almost forgot. There's a lot of cameos on here by so many D-list celebrities like Jordan Peterson, Candace Owens, and Matt Walsh, and listen to this, even Ted Cruz. This is a very strange selection of cameos that obviously only serve the uber-conservative media base. Thank you so much for watching. More reviews coming soon. I guess someone has to do it, right?